Hey guys, starting this video underneath the car. What I wanted to do was kind of give some installation tips to the turbo and exhaust components to the PTuning Turbo kit. This is with all their V2 revisions. Getting all the exhaust components right is kind of critical. Obviously, because it's a turbo car and you don't want any exhaust leaks pre-turbo. Or even pre-wastegate, to be honest, because you want everything running smoothly. I just got everything on. I got everything torqued down. I haven't done all the charge piping, which I'm going to do shortly, and finish the last downpipe on my exhaust, and then I'll be ready to start it up. All right. So what I wanted to cover was first turbo installation. If you're installing this turbo kit yourself, of course, before you get to a turbo installation, you have to do your manifold or exhaust header. And if you have the PTuning one, you need to have this little 4-to-1 to this little adapter right here. And then you can put on the first piece of the overpipe. The instructions included with the PTuning manual say to go ahead and put this one on, then do the turbo. After the turbo mount, of course, but I find it easier to have this one off the car, just the first piece of the overpipe on, and then put your turbo mount on the transmission, and then get your turbo on. Now, the coolant lines and the oil restrictor feed line up top, those lines I put on the turbo before I put it on the car. I just find it easier, honestly, to do that. You can't put the oil return components on until after you've already torqued down all the exhaust, and I'll explain why. To get the proper clearance on the exhaust, you really have to take your time. So after you've installed the header, the first part of the overpipe, you get the turbo on with the coolant lines and the oil feed restrictor line. You're not going to torque these down yet. These are going to be some of your last 2 bolts, or if you have the GT30 turbo, the last 3 bolts you're going to torque down. And I'll explain why. You're going to loosely install all your V-bands, even all the way here. If you have the PTuning header, you want this one, it's on there, but you want it to be able to rotate and slide around. You want this, these just finger tight, and of course you want to be able to slide this V-band, and even the wastegate V-bands you want relatively loose. You don't need the downpipe on quite yet. I'm gonna explain why. So the wastegate piping, it mounts to the back of the transmission right there. When you have everything on, this is going to be one of the last bolts you're going to tighten as well. So once you have everything on, so this one's going to be loose. It's going to be actually sticking out probably like almost like a ½ inch or an inch. Your turbo bolts are going to be loose as well. I'd say, I don't know, a few turns loose to where you can actually move the turbo and the exhaust up and down on the mount. And then also on the back here, this is the downpipe. So the downpipe, you're going to have these ones sticking out a lot. So I don't know, to give you a visual, probably to right there, because this piece right here actually flexes, and you want it to flex, because what you need to do is you need to make sure you have proper clearance. If you just let everything sag, the overpipe kind of hangs too low, and you won't have enough clearance to the subframe. So what you need to do is, that's why these you want loose, and the exhaust hanger one, and the ones in the back you want all those loose, is so you can lift this whole thing up. So basically, where I'm putting pressure right here underneath the turbo is, you can either lift this up, or you can pry something underneath the subframe and overpipe to lift it up. So this will give you better clearance. And the whole exhaust will pretty much all move, and the V bands will allow you to give you some movement as well. But yeah, anyways, that's what I wanted to cover. Was you can pry something under here. I used a rag and I shoved it underneath. I shoved it with a screwdriver. I folded it several times, but that allows you to push. Well, not from here, but from right here, allows you to push it up. And then once it's up there, the rag's inside or whatever you have shoved in there to lift it up. Then you can start torquing. The first one I torqued was these two on the turbo. Followed by that, I moved back to the V-band. And then these two guys on the flange. And then, of course, I moved to this V-band. And then I did these two V-bands. And then I did, these V-bands were already done, so these are fine. And then I finally went to this one over here, and I tightened that one. Okay, so it's going to be pretty one of the last, and then the very last is going to be these two, right there. So this is going to help you get good alignment on your exhaust and help prevent leaks. You don't want any leaks. Your V-bands have to be pretty solid when you get them, when you first install everything. If you have any leaks, that's no good, especially pre-turbo. That'll throw off your tune. Anyways, that's just all I wanted to cover for you guys. Hopefully this helps anyone who's doing the installation. Yeah, all right, see ya.